So, hey guys, we are back for part two. I do apologize about what happened there because literally we were live, we were chatting away, and then all of a sudden, we had so many of you on, it just dropped out. So, I do apologize. We have got a great panel in the second half, which is Lewis, Sutty, George, and Ez making her full debut as well today. I do want to start the second half of the show by saying a big thank you, of course, to Creation Wolf, who are powering the show. So a big thank you for them, and I hope some of you are re-seeing this brand. So I do apologise that we disappeared halfway through the show. Much apologies for that, but we are back up and running. And we will be cracking on. Just before we crack on, I do want to just bring your attention to a couple of charity events, which I was talking about when we got. This is in aid of the Birmingham Children's Hospital. This Friday night, if you're looking for some live music, you got the Jersey 4 Paddington Club, organised by the Fox at Shipley. It's £20 a ticket. It's in aid of the Birmingham Children's Hospital, who's just fantastic job for so many youngsters. And the other event to make you aware of, which again is raising money for the Birmingham Children's Hospital and also the 1P36 family, is on the 5th of September, which is at the Mount Hotel, which is with Wolves legend Steve Bull and Andy Thompson. As I say, again, raising money for the Birmingham Children's Hospital and the 1P36 family trust. That's going to be hosted by Jason, who's just been on. So two great charity events there that you could get involved in. So, yeah, look, thank you for rejoining us. Sorry, ever so much sorry about what happened there with losing connection, but we've come on for a part two. And Lewis, great to see you, mate.
Yeah, like I said, Dave, at the start of the first video, the first half was good. I was very impressed. I thought the performance that Cunha especially was fantastic. That's exactly the role I've always thought it would favour him. He isn't a number 9 who's going to score all the goals all the time, and he will, really benefit from having someone like Larsson to play with and play off. I think that really stood out to me. But the second half, I think Chelsea just looked at exactly what we were doing, especially with Aït-Nouri, which I know was brought up a lot in the first half of the video. He was playing kind of in the midfield. He was really tucking in, and that left obviously Totti, who we've already spoke about a lot, how he can struggle in a back four. It left Totti up against Madueke, and also Palmer, I noticed, was pushing out to the right a lot more. And their right back, Malo Gusto, was pushing up. So it was almost as if Totti was 3-on-1, especially for, it might have been the fourth goal. He was 3-on-1. And, I think the 3 goals that Madueke scored, it didn't really surprise me when I saw what Chelsea had come out in the second half to do, because they just took their chances with the chances they created by going out to that right-hand side, our left. And I think it just showed that I when I was watching the game, I thought back to something that Gary said when he first became manager, when he went on Monday Night Football. And he said he has a way of how he'd like to play, and he has a way of how he has to play with what he's got. He might like to play with a back four, but he can't play with a back four with these defenders. It's just not possible. And, I know a lot of people criticise Yerson in the first half, but for me, Yerson isn't the issue. He could play in a back four with the right players next to him. I think that's something that I really just want to come out early on and say. But yeah, I think it's now it's a bit of a standoff really between Gary, who's going to want to stick with the back four, as he said, and whether or not he'll get the players to do that.
Absolutely. Some great points made there, Lewis. Thank you. Sutty, obviously great to have you back on again. What is it the points that you'd like to make?
Good evening, everyone, to you, Dave. First half, Dave, slow to start again. This was
very cold, wasn't it?
Big problem last year. Terrible. So we started off poorly. We've dragged ourselves back in it. We've conceded a shocking second goal. we've dragged ourselves back in it. But if you freeze frame us, Dave, at the points where they're attacking us on every single goal, we are at utter shambles. If you freeze frame every goal, Dave, there is no shape. People are out of place. Norrie, oh my God, he's a car crash, Dave. I love Norrie. Honestly.
I think, to be honest, I think everyone can see he's got undoubted ability.
Yeah, he's not a fullback, Dave.
No.
Dave, he's not a fullback. Neither, might I add, is Semedo. Doc is more disciplined as a fullback. We may get worse before we get better in this system. I just do not understand why we carry on persisting with something that we haven't got the personnel for, Dave. Now, to buy the personnel, to buy this, and might I add as well, people get dragging Totti and Mosquera out, saying they're awful. I think what you'll find is they've got a keeper behind them that don't know whether he's coming or going half the time. They've got a fullback either side of them that are truly dreadful because they're wing backs. As wing backs, they're fantastic, but as fullbacks, me and you might as well play. You can't keep blaming two centre halves that are getting dragged all over the place because there is no discipline and there is no shape in a back line. Now, we cannot carry on like this. I know I said to you, I'm going to judge after 10 games. If this carries on, Dave, like this, there's going to be no J-Lo to save us, Dave. It won't happen this time. And to get to play in this system, Dave, our illustrious owners, sorry for all the people that don't like me keep saying this, but I'll keep saying it. It's my only way to protest, and unfortunately, the way, because we know that they watch these, Dave. The only way that we are going to play this back four is to spend some of the £240 million that we have generated in player sales in under a 12-month period. You cannot keep selling. I just read a comment on here. We're sell to buy. We're not sell to buy, Dave, because at present we are sell. We're not buying much, and I'm very doubtful that there's going to be much quality, ready to go quality that's going to come in and make all your aspirations and dreams come true for this season. I just do not see it until there's a complete change of tact here where you've raked in 240 million. That's $250 million nearly in 12 months without spending at least half of it. Now, you can't keep bringing in young kids like we've got the young French kid, this centre half. If he ain't ready now, he's no good to us, Dave, because all that tells to me is he's going to come in, be shipped out on loan, come in, come back a little bit. We're going to flog him for a quick W money sale. It's not good enough.
Chris seems to think that he's a player and he's going to be.
He might be, Dave. Is he going to come into this team now? Is he going to come into this team now and get us out of this shit that we're in? Sorry for swearing. I'll get pulled up on that we're in, because I don't see it, Dave. And now we've got to go to Forest next week, Dave. Forest will be licking their lips because we are. If I was Nuno now, right? If I was Nuno now, I'd be looking at that, sat back in my chair, in my little cozy office, thinking, there's plenty. If they come here with a back four, we will destroy them. And they will, Dave. If we go to the back four, I'm afraid, Dave, as it stands with me at the moment, this is my opinion and I'll stand by it. Today is this season's Luton moment from last year. We were forced into a back five last year at Luton, and the whole season changed. We went on something like 17 games with only one loss. We drew a fair few, but we took some big scalps as well, if you remember, and everything changed. And if it wasn't for a lack of squad depth, we would have been in Europe now. These owners have got to sit back tonight. Mr. Shi is at HQ, so I'm led to believe, in China. If they haven't,
he came back yesterday.
Oh, well, that's great.
He was there today.
He was there. Well, I'm glad that Jeff, if you're watching, I'm addressing you personally. I'm glad you were there to see that shit show that you have created.
George.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to follow on from that, to be honest. But I'll give it my best shot. I'll kind of start with what I put in my post match little write up that I sent over. I think the thing that's actually bothering me at the minute, whether it's 4 at the back system, 5 at the back system, is that I'm actually willing Gary O'Neill to kind of come out and get his story straight in a way, because I feel there's a little bit of him trying to act as sort of peacemaker between the owners, the fans. Are we a selling club, sell to buy club, as Sooty said? And he's trying to keep everyone a little too sweet. And I would actually like to know, where does he stand on all this? Because he came out with the comments after the Arsenal game that he was really happy with the Totti and Mosquera partnership. And I thought at the time they were strange comments. Because watching that game, I don't think you can be really impressed with what you saw. I thought Totti looked weak on the ball. We looked overexposed at times. And I honestly thought, okay, he's protecting the players. And I thought we'd see some changes today. I thought if he was going to stick with the back 4, I thought we'd at least see that midfield solidified a little bit for a little more protection. But I don't think it's just a problem of, it's the 2 centre-backs. It's the back 4. I think a back 5 does suit us, but it's not just that. I think it's the whole setup's not quite right. I think if you've got Bellegarde in there, he's more of an attacking option in midfield. I'd put Tommy Doyle in there and give a real solid midfield banker free to protect that defence and stop teams coming at us straight away. If we're playing a higher line,
second half, playing
a high line, they were getting straight at our back 4, overexposing our back line. We've got 2 centre-backs in there that are an unproven partnership. For me, it's really naive. And I'm surprised that he didn't tweak anything off the back of the Arsenal game. I thought the first 20 minutes of that Arsenal game, that they were all over us and they were getting in behind our defence time and time again. And it's not just the 2 centre-backs. Arsenal were threading little balls through in between the full-backs and the centre-backs time and time again. And I don't know, I don't feel that Doc was great. I know we've heard a few people saying that he was okay. I don't actually think he was. And the sooner Semedo's back, the better. I think, look at how Chelsea got at us today. A lot of it was down the size. Madueke's got a hat-trick, which tells you all you need to see. I know that was on Aït-Nouri's side. But it's the whole setup of the team for me, personally. Bellegarde, he offers going forward, but not coming back. Tommy Doyle would have given you that a little bit more. I think we didn't see today that we saw in pre-season and we saw at Arsenal, Lamina dropping in, like you've said, Dave, in the past, into that quarterback role. Didn't see it today. Did you?
I didn't notice it as much now from where I was watching. I mean, he did come back a bit, but like obviously where I'm watching from, I'm quite low down, so it's hard to. I mean, others might be able to comment better on that, but I didn't notice it as much now.
And is that because we had no periods of real control in the game? The first half was like a basketball game, wasn't it? You know, it was front to back. It was a time to tighten up a little bit at half time. But yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. I mean, I do think we should go back 5. I've written an article for you in the past that says basically, if you want the best out of Aït-Nouri, you have to put him in a back 5. You just have to. O'Neill came out in his comments today, didn't he? And he said we had no fullback present for the 4th and 5th goals. Those were his words. And at the end of the day, it's because we had a wing back playing fullback, and we're shoehorning players into systems that doesn't work. we're going to seriously need to invest if that's the way we want to go forward. Otherwise, we've got no choice but to revert back to the back five.
Do you
Because
think that's equally surprising why that Hugo Bueno went on loan as well?
Dave, I hate that move, and I can't hide it. I know that we've got Totti who can move into that left back position, and at the end of the day, with Totti, we saw under Lopetegui, you would have to argue now that the only time that we've seen the transition to the back four actually look in any way successful was under Lopetegui. And what did he do to Aït-Nouri? He basically made him surplus to requirements, didn't he? And he played Totti at left back, and there was no place for Aït-Nouri. And people slander him now, saying, "Oh, look how good Aït-Nouri is," and this guy couldn't see that. It didn't work in a back four, and it's not going to work in a back four. We haven't got the personnel. Bueno's more suited to that, but Totti is an option at left back. And I think Liam said that in the first half. He is. But then what are you going to do with Aït-Nouri? There's the option to push him up further, isn't there, as more of a winger. But it ain't going to work in this back four. It's not going to work because teams are getting at us down the sides as much as anything, and that's not helping the centre-backs either. It's just not working the way it is at the minute. So that's pretty much my overall thoughts on it. I mean, I'll touch on Sarr. Who's had a lot of criticism today, and I think that's down to this expected goals thing that's been put out, isn't it? We was basically equal today.
We had a higher expected goals than Chelsea. I think we were 1.8 and they were 1.4 or something like that. But they scored 6.
Yeah, that points lot of fingers at the goalkeeper. But I know you talked to the first half a bit about this playing out from the back. We never look good. But I tell you what, it is putting too much on Jose Sarr. He does not have the ability to play the way that we're trying to play. His distribution is just not good enough. He's not comfortable enough on the ball to do it. So that's another position where we're playing a system that just doesn't suit us. And like Sutty quite rightly said, just last year when we played the way that suited the personnel that we've got, we were pushing for Europe. I can't understand why we're persevering with it when it's not going to work the way it is. It's not going to work at Forest as a back four. It's not going to work from then on. And we knew before the season started that we had a tough start. But I honestly thought off the back of the Arsenal game, he would have tweaked something today. And it does worry me a little bit that he hasn't.
Yes, your thoughts. Thank you, by the way, for making your debut.
No. Oh, sorry. I thought you was talking to me still. I'll shut up now.
No, it's all right. Yeah, I mean, I can understand what everyone's saying, and I do agree. I think Aït-Nouri, especially, is much better when he's going forward. But as a defender, he doesn't track back. So there's no point in having that position if he's not going to do it. You're either going to have to play him as a defender or you play him as someone who pushes forward. End of story. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Sarr today really disappointed me. I've always said I think he's a better goalkeeper than he is a footballer. And I think that with the distribution, especially today, if he's not on his line, he's out of his game and he loses his head. It puts him under too much pressure and he panics. And then he makes mistakes like he did today. And I don't know what Totti was doing today. Usually he's quite, solid. But today it just seemed like he didn't know what he was doing. They were losing men all over the place. That, what's his name? Madueke, who slagged off the City. Well, now he's got an extra excuse, hasn't he? Because he can say, well, the town's shit and so's the football team. Excuse my language. But, it's true. We played absolutely crap in that second half. First half was brilliant. I thought the first half, I was really excited. I thought we were doing really well. And then we just seemed to lose it. And I think Gary O'Neill's done a really, really good job so far in getting them into the mindset after they concede to keep going and to not let it affect them so much, which is one of the things I thought was really lacking when we were under Lopetegui and Large. We seemed to sort of concede and then we completely lost the plot. And O'Neill seems to have looked at them sort of psychologically as well. seen the effects of that and sort of got them to calm down a bit about it. So that was one good thing. But once the second half and they scored that goal straight away, I think we just went to pieces. And it's such a shame because I think that the team that Gary O'Neill is trying to build is kind of like a Nuno-esque sort of team. I think he's trying to get young people in who've got talents, who are really good, who we can build like the one pack mentality back again. But there's something that's not quite settling, and I'm not sure what's not clicking. So I don't think that even Gary O'Neill is really sure whether he's got his proper starting 11. And I think that during pre-season, he sort of got an idea of who would work well together, like George says. I mean, like the Totti Mosquera. I mean, Mosquera I think he's really good, but I do think he's got a problem with his temper. So if you can sort that out, he'll be all right. Although it's always good to have someone who's going to...
He's hot-headed. So you've just said about how he's hot-headed. So, you know,
yeah,
similar sort of stuff there.
You know, I mean, like the other way, like at Arsenal, you know, I mean, yeah, he was being held down, but then he grabbed that guy's neck and was like, oh, realised what he did and was like, I'm not going to do that now. Sorry about that sort of thing. And he was really lucky. And he was really lucky again today. So I think that, like, you know, they just need to chill out. But again, it's the pressure that he's under because, again, Aït-Nouri wasn't tracking his man. He wasn't back into defence. He's too busy worrying about getting forward and scoring, which is all good and well. But if we're letting goals in the back of the net, we can score as many as you want. But if you've got someone scoring 6 against you when you've only done 2, I mean, yeah, the offsides, we were unlucky. Cunha, for me today, was like on fire. He did not stop with the offsides, and then he had the crossbar where it came back at him, and he still carried on and everything. I don't know why they took him off, unless it was just because he was knackered and obviously he had that fall with his knee.
It's more to do with fitness that he came on.
Yeah,
Lewis,
but
back to you.
But
Lewis, go on. Sorry, I said you've got finished. Sorry, I thought you'd finished. Okay.
Oh no, Lewis. And I was just basically, you know, Sarabia was good. Sorry.
Oh no,
Sarabia was good. I like Sarabia. I think he was good. It was nice to see him with Podence, and yeah, Bellegarde surprised me, and that's pretty much it. It's just a shame, really.
Well, it was Lewis.
Okay, I'm shutting up now.
No, Lewis, just back to you. Look, we've got 5 days of the transfer window to go. Obviously, we had a really good start to the transfer window. Everyone was really excited when we signed Tommy Doyle on the permanent, brought in Rodrigo Gomez, bought in Pedro Lima. You know, we bought Strand Larsen. Great start. I was saying that at the time. I said, look, same as last year. I'm not going to get doom and gloom. I'm not going to get carried away because we've gone early, which was great to see. Wolves did a lot of early business. Kilman's gone. I think everyone was like, yeah, okay, Kilman, he's gone. Fair enough. Big profit. Works for everyone. I know we had a good game for West Ham yesterday, but, you know, Lopetegui likes him. He's gone. Pedro Neto, 54 million. Didn't really want to sell him. But obviously his fitness is an issue. But we've, like what Sutty said, there's a lot of money been raised over that. I mean, and I know they needed to raise the money last year to get out of the black hole, to get us under the threshold. But like we were already about 25 million pound up before we started this year. We've bought in about another 90 million. We spent 30. They're keeping 20, probably a bit back for the winter. They've got to keep a little bit back for next summer. But like, what do you think, honestly, that Gary O'Neill is going to switch to a back 5 after playing a back 4 all pre-season? They've worked on it. They've played 2 games. Is he going to panic and go, yeah, okay, let's go back to a back 5 and we need to do that? I know a lot of people have suggested that and we could do that. Is he going to do that after playing a back 4 all pre-season and working on it, and then after 2 games, one against title challengers Arsenal, who we competed with for most of the game, and 2 because we've lost 6-2 and we fell apart for 15-20 minutes against Chelsea this afternoon, but we still look good going forward. And then obviously the damage had been done in that 50-minute, bit like Brighton. 2 games in against probably 2 teams that are both going to be pushing top 6, even talking to Alex from Chelsea Fan TV, they're hoping to get Champions League. You know, is the real test not going to be against the likes of Forest next week and Burnley and stuff? Do you really think he's going to switch to a back 4 or a back 5, or do you think he'll persist and start to keep a cool head and reassess and just keep plodding on and believe in what they're doing? What do you think?
Yeah, I take the point, Dave, that we're playing against really top attacking sides. Chelsea's strength is attacking. They're fairly poor defensively. They looked a bit more solid in the second half, but from what I watched again of them against Man City last week and against us in the first half, they are a poor defensive side, and obviously Arsenal are very strong going forward as they are in defence. Sorry, so I definitely take the point that Gary might look at that evidence and say we've come up against 2 very strong attacks, so we haven't really been tested at the level that we would be expected to be competed in and around. But what is the alternative of staying at the back 4 if we play that against Forest with Chris Wood, Anthony Elanga, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Morgan Gibbs-White? The attack is very strong there too. You know, they're about to sign in Nketiah from Arsenal, so
apparently they're not.
I think
Much chat from Forest Fan TV who messaged me earlier, because obviously we're playing them next year at Wolverine. He said they're not signing Nketiah. He doesn't
even
want
if
to sign.
They didn't get in, Dave. Chris Wood scores against Wolves almost every game. So, and again, the type of player he is, he's a strong physical player up against Totti. You know, without that protection that Sutty mentioned from the fullbacks, it'll be the same kind of result, I think. So, if you don't change from a back 4, then expect the same results. And I would like to be able to say we can play a back 4, Dave, but I just don't see the benefits from it, because, you know, usually if you're playing a back 5, it means you're sacrificing going forward. But we still scored enough goals when our forwards were fit last season to be competing with where most of the fans want to be competing. Of course, you score more goals and you'll compete for the next level, but we had enough with the back 5, with enough when our strikers were fit. What would have made more sense with the business that we've done this window for me is to stick with the back 5, and then we have the depth up front if the forwards get injured again. So we can still score the same amount of goals and keep a solid defence. But what I'm seeing at the moment is, we scored 2 good goals against Chelsea. We scored 2 more that we're offside. So we scored 4 goals, which is good. But we conceded far too many, and we will concede far too many in the games to come. So I don't see the advantage of playing 4 at the back at the moment, because we just don't have the players to play that. So, and I don't really see the big, the opposition to 5 at the back. I mean, a few seasons ago, Chelsea won the Champions League with 5 at the back under Thomas Tuchel, and we don't have the same quality of players there, but it's a very it's not a bad system at all, Dave, and it's served us well since we got to the Premier League. We got to the quarterfinals of the Europa League with 5 at the back. So I really don't see the urgency to move away from it when our players just aren't in the right position to do that. If we had really defensive fullbacks who could do nothing going forward, I would understand. Maybe you want to offer a bit more.
So Lewis, are you basically saying that the manager and the training staff and the coaching staff and Matt Hobbs and everyone who see the players, everything, and they've been working on this all season, they should just rip that up and revert back to a back 5 because on the basis of two games? Is that what you think? And do you think they will do that?
I would like to stop conceding as many goals as we have been in the past 2 games, and also don't forget in that friendly against Vallecano, you can say that we've come up against Arsenal and Chelsea, but also I think they got promoted back to La Liga last season. That wasn't a great side, Dave, and they still scored goals against us. I I think we're not ready. So maybe they would like to do that. They would like to play a back four, but we're not in the position to play a back four, in my opinion. I don't think Gary really believes that
Do you
his
think Gary will
players.
switch to a back five?
It depends how stubborn he is. I would like to think our manager is sensible enough to avoid getting us in trouble when we have the option to play a back five with a talented defence with Dawson, Totti, and Yerson. There's enough there as with a back five to be competing at the level we were last season because we have additions up front. So I would like to think he would before it got to a dangerous level, which it very easily could.
Finally, before I move on to Sutty, Matt Hobbs, Gary O'Neill, Jeff Shee, they're watching right now, potentially, say that they were. What would you say to them with the last 5 days of the transfer window? What would be the message?
Maybe this season is too late to change to a back four in terms of the players coming in. Gary may want to do that, but it's too late now. It will have to be something they'll look at for next summer. And even in winter, I know that you mentioned they've kept money back for the winter. The deals we need to do won't be done over January because the players that will be available aren't good enough quality.
Do they need to go? But if they're going to go for this back four, do they need to get the? Do you think they need to just go? Do you know what? We've got targets. We go and get them. We've got 5 days.
I don't think the clubs will sell, Dave, because we need good players, really good players. And clubs will think, well, why am I going to sell my really good players when I'm going to have to go and replace them? We don't need bench players or young players. We need starting Premier League experienced players. And you're not going to buy them at this stage of the market. So it has to be next summer. I don't mind paying 5 at the back for this season because, like I said, we have enough quality to push on for Europe with this squad with 5 at the back. So it's something for next season if that's the way they want to go, which I really think it is.
And Wolves have tried to switch to 4 at the back 2 or 3 times and ended up reverting back to a back 5. I mean, I know you're saying clubs won't sell their best players, but arguably Wolves have sold their best players and we've taken the money.
Yeah, but I think we sold our best players obviously Neto went recently, but Kilman went around a month ago now, Dave. Those kind of deals
which basically begs the point. As I've come back to it, and Emma, the thing, if this back four is such a priority to play, why are we 5 days out? Why has that not been sorted out back when if it's a priority to play that? Why is it like 5 days out? And with like all of this, what everyone's been talking about is now coming to light. And we've got 5 days. They've got 5 days to solve this problem if they're going to stick with the back five, because obviously, I think the other thing, Hugo Bueno going on loan seems like a crazy decision, really.
I know that obviously looks a lot worse now, but I don't really think Bueno is much better than Aït-Nouri defensively. I don't think he'd solve the problem at left back. He would do a better job defensively, but we would really lose out on Aït-Nouri going forward. Obviously, you can play them both, but he had to play every game this season, Dave, and he wasn't going to do that here. So I don't really think that Bueno deal is as crazy as people may see it as at the moment. I think it makes more sense than people are.
I think it does. It does if you bring someone else in, because again, like you've got the option of Totti Gomez, and that's it, pretty much. You have
but like George said, when Lopetegui was here, Totti Gomez was the starting left back because Aït-Nouri wasn't in the squad. So if you're Gary and you're thinking, well, I would like Aït-Nouri to be my starting left back, and if he gets injured or suspended, Totti's a capable left back. I think he's probably better at left back than left centre half in a back four. So I don't think it's as crazy as it seems. I think that deal really did make sense to me. I think when Bueno comes back next season, he'll be a much better player than he would have been if he'd stayed at the club. And as long as he plays, that's the priority for me. He has to come back and be a part of the team.
Lewis, do you know what? As always, you articulate your points really, really, really well. I don't want to thank you for that because you really do put things across in a way that makes a lot of sense and you articulate it really, really well. Sutty, Jeff Shee, Matt Hobbs, Gary O'Neill, say they're watching the thingy, 5 days to go. what's the message that you're wanting to put across right now? I mean, we're two games into the season. Do we panic? Do we stick and be brave and continue with this, or we've got 5 days left of the transfer window, then we got Forest? You know, I think what you said not long ago was, yeah, we might lose a few games at the start of the season trying to play this way, but we've got to stick with it and be brave. And you did make the point about Arteta at Arsenal when he tried to change things, and everyone was like, it's falling apart, he needs to go, it's not working, the players don't fit the system. They stuck with it, and they kept believing in in what they were trying to do. They eliminated the mistakes, and obviously they went on to be the Arsenal team. But Arteta was very close to being sacked at that point. Do you still stick by what you said? In don't panic, stick with it, or do you think actually, unless they bring in a central defender and a fullback, we need to switch?
Well, first of all, Dave, after selling Kilman and then Neto for 94 million, I believe, I fully expected new players bedded in for at least 2 weeks in this system. And I would have said to you then, Dave, like I said last week, I'll make my judgment after 10 days. But yet again, Dave, how many times? I mean, I know people are getting sick of me on here saying this, but the planning, Dave, it's awful. There's no planning, Dave. I'll tell you now, if we'd have took a couple of wins out of this, Dave, or a win and a draw, if we'd have beat Chelsea today and drawn against Arsenal, there would be no one else coming in this week. I absolutely guarantee you that. We are a selling club, Dave. Now, I haven't got a problem with selling Neto. I haven't got a problem with selling Neves last year. I haven't got a problem with selling Kilman this year. I have no problem with selling players if it's for the purpose of making our squad deeper and better. Now, you came to me last week, Dave, and the first thing you said to me is, look at that up there, Sut. Look at that bench. Look at the bench. I looked up at it. I said to you, yep, that's stronger. Our first team ain't stronger, Dave. It's definitely not stronger. Now, get a couple of injuries, Dave, and we're right back to where we were this time last year again. Now, I don't see any change here, Dave. 3 seasons on the bounce. Come on. I mean, we were told last summer that we have to do this. We've all been patient, Dave. All of us, even me, Dave. I've been patient, and I hate the man with a passion. I truly hope he's watching it. I really do hope him or his people are watching it, because he's taking us all for mugs here. But we accepted last year, and we were told, Dave, it will be much better next summer, i.e. now. We will be able to spend, and we will theoretically be a year in front of a lot of other clubs that will be getting the rule book thrown at them because they've overspent. We applauded them. Okay. I even admitted on here, Dave, I've got this wrong. You know, fair play to them, and we've stayed up. We all expected a good summer. So let's look at who we've bought in. We've bought in Rodrigo Gomez. Now, he looked great in the pre-season. I watched him come on today, and he had the chance to hit the ground running with one of his first attacks. He didn't. I'm not pulling him up on that, Dave, but no Pedro Neto is he yet. Let me tell you that. He is not. Young Lima, he's a wing-back, Dave. Why have we bought a wing-back when we're playing a back four? Are we trying to convert him? Because it's going to be very difficult to do that, Dave. and I can't remember who the other one we
He wasn't
bought.
even on the bench today either.
No, well, he wasn't even on the bench. Oh, we bought Larson. Now, Larson today, for me, put in a right good shift. He held the ball up. He run the channels. He scored his first goal. I was jumping up and down for him. I was chuffed to bits for the lad. But still, our starting 11 is weaker. And it screams to me, Dave, that yet again, we're living in hope that there are 3 worse teams than Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now, I'm not so sure after watching Leicester. I don't know whether they will get a points deduction. That's our only way of finishing above them at the moment. And I think Ipswich will pick up points at home. So I'm not so sure there will be guaranteed 3 worse teams than us if we play the back 4, because we are at utter shambles. And if we carry on in this vein, we ain't going to pick hardly any points up in our first 10 games. And like I said to you, Forest next week will be licking their lips at us, Dave. If we set up in a back 4 without Craig Dawson, and I've been a critic of Craig Dawson, so I said he can't play a 4. He's too slow, way too slow. But put him in the middle of a 5 and defend a little bit deeper, get 8 Nori bombing forward, get Semedo bombing forward. I know he can't play next week. And all of a sudden,
he will be able to play next week because his third game is against
Burnley.
Burnley.
Okay,
Yeah.
so get them 2 bombing forward, and we look at a far more solid team, and we can just drop straight back into a 5 just because we've played that all pre-season. We've played it for the last 7 years. A 5, we can drop back into that like that, Dave. We are so used to playing that system, it's easy for us. And I just do not think we've got the right personnel to play a 4. Dave, we'll be like Sheffield United were last season, getting pumped 4s and 5s. And it's all right getting pumped 4s and 5s if you can score 6s and 7s. But we ain't never going to score 6s and 7s. It's about us keeping it tight, suckering teams in, hitting them on the break with pace and attack, and then setting our store and shutting up shop. We do not have the personnel. And unless they go out and spend, I would say, there's no good going out and spending 5 million here and 2 million there for a couple of fullbacks. Unless they go out and spend, Dave, that £94 million that they bought in this year on 3 players, then me, you, and all of these other people, Dave, are going to be going back to Barnsley and Burnley and places like that next season, because we will go down.
Okay, George, same question to you. What needs to be done in these next 5 days if for you?
Yeah, so what I ask myself when I think about this 4 versus 5 is why? What does the 4 offer us, and why has every manager over the last 4 or 5 years had to try and transition us? I've been thinking, is it an ego thing? Does a manager need to show that he can transition a team? Has it become unfashionable? But what Lewis was saying earlier, no, it hasn't. It's been successful in recent history. There's nothing unfashionable about back 5 with those bombing wing backs, which is exactly what we've got. So why? The question is why? And the answer seems to be, you get that extra attacking player in and we look better going forward. If that attacking player, in my argument to that, is Bellegarde and the way he played today, and for all his running on the ball, is he worth what we lose in terms of, solidity at the back, keeping ourselves in games? You can't do what we did today going forward. And it's not to overreact, but we haven't conceded 6 at home for 17 years. So it's all right saying
Southampton 6-0, wasn't it?
Yeah. Southampton, we haven't conceded 6 goals at home for 17 years. So there is a little bit of alarm bells, and it is early. Obviously, we're 2 games in, but when you concede 6 goals at home, you've got to ask yourself something's not working there. So is the trade-off worth it? if you're going to say, which we all thought it would be, you know, you'd have you'd play that 4-2-3-1 and have Cunha as a 10. But you've got Hwang on the right. It was ineffective and was ineffective against Arsenal. So we're trading off our solidity in games, and the players coming in, that extra spot in attack isn't necessarily worth it. Were we really that much better going forward? For one half, maybe, but were we really any better going forward than last season? Well, you look at the Chelsea result last season, we beat them 4-2 with 5 at the back. So I don't think it actually offers us anything more going forward, especially when the person coming in, who I think is a good runner, he'll work hard for the team and he can relieve a bit of pressure. But I'm not convinced massively on Bellegarde as a major attacking threat. I don't think he necessarily worries opposition defenders and I think, oh, he's in the team, oh, we better watch out. He hasn't really proven himself enough to me to justify what the trade-off is. So that would be it. You know, your question was if the Wolves higher ups are listening. Oh, that's why. What is the obsession? What is the need? And is the trade-off worth it?
Great points. As anything you'd like to add to any of that?
Look, I mean, it's 2 matches in to the season. Yeah, it's 2 matches in. There's plenty of time left. I think that Gary is still trying to figure out who his best 11 are, how he can start, how he can progress, and he's still trying to figure out. It's not his team yet. I think he's still trying to make it a team. And I think that, yeah, there's all the politics with she and not buying players, and we've got money to buy, but we're not. But I do honestly think that, I mean, he signed a 4-year contract, Gary O'Neill. There's got to be something that he's trying to build. And while it may not happen overnight, you can't just turn around and say, well, we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't try that. He's obviously a very diverse manager. We saw it last season at the end where he picks what he wants to do based on what he thinks the other teams are gonna do. So maybe he's just testing out playing from the back and we'll shift to a back 5 if he thinks we need to. And he's trying to manipulate it so he can change and swap and change. And I think that's good. I think he's showing, you know, something different, something that we haven't seen since like Nuno. When Nuno first started, he's building up a team. And yeah, it's for the future. But that doesn't mean that what he's doing now is something that we should all be negative about. I mean, it's 2 games in. Give it a chance. You know, we've got so many. I mean, I'm really glad that we've got all the top teams first because it gives us a chance to have a really good middle season before we go back to fighting, you know, the Man Cities and the Arsenals. But it's all progression. And I just think that sometimes we all think as fans, oh, we need this doing, we need that doing. Why has he done this? Why has he done that? But I know it's often said we're looking through tinted glasses. We need to stick with the plan and all that sort of business. But maybe just, you know, give the guy a chance. You know, it's not the end of the world. I still think we're going to finish mid-table. I don't think we're going to be relegated unless something seriously goes wrong. But he's still finding his feet. And I think that a new team with a pack mentality, which is what it feels to me like he's trying to build, I think it'll be great. And I just think I'd like a bit more positivity, really. Sorry, Sutty. You know, I mean, I agree with you on all the Jeff Shee stuff and everything, but come on, smile a bit, love. You know, it's the Wolves, we're brilliant. Have a little faith.
We ain't brilliant.
Yeah.
I just want to say,
right then, but we could be.
There's a lovely little message here from Liam Matthews, which I just think he says, "Hi Dave, my dad passed away yesterday. I just wanted to say thank you. Videos we used to watch together. Thank you for everything. You always provide the entertainment and keep the faith." And we're talking about obviously all of this, which is football and stuff like that. But Liam's lost his dad yesterday. We all know what it's like to lose a parent, and in the contents of things, it's not important compared to something like that. So, Liam, it means a lot that you said that. And I'm sure everyone who's in the chat, everyone who's watching, and everyone on here, we do wish you and your family all the best, and our condolences to you and your family at this really sad time. I apologize for that, and it does mean a lot that you enjoyed your dad enjoyed watching us all. So we send our love and best wishes to you and your family. Let's just finish off now the show with if you can try and find a positive, that would be good. Man of the match performance rating highlight. Lewis, over to yourself.
I think man of the match for me, Dave, has to be Cunha. I saw in the first half only, though. I can only pick a man of the match for the first half. The performance in the second half was not. I can't pick one. So Cunha for the first half, he looked to me like the player that we signed. That's what we were getting when we spent as much money as we did. And I was critical before for buying Cunha for that money. But when you're pairing him with the type of striker Larson is, that's what you get. And he will be consistent throughout the season. I feel quite sure of that. So man of the match in the first half was Cunha. The performance, again, I saw Jason do a split performance rating. I'll probably do the same. I think 7 was fair, which I think was what Jason put. Obviously we conceded too many goals. Two goals in the first half isn't great, but we had a really good periods of play. Obviously, after we got going, I think just that slow start that Susie mentioned also was disappointing. But generally, when you compare the first half with the second, you can't help but put it so high and the second half so low. The second half was just a big disappointment. It was I was really disappointed that the players, especially the ones that who had been on the pitch, not the ones who come on. A lot of the players I felt started to give up after the hat-trick. And obviously I understand the score, but I think it just felt as if they were waiting for that full-time whistle, which I was quite disappointed with. I don't expect them to go and, win the game and push on, but I expect to see a bit more passion. I think I would like to see a bit more of that under tough circumstances. I think it's quite telling a bit when you're in a tough period of the game, how you react. I think it shows a lot about the players. So that would be that. And yeah, I think that's everything.
Sutty.
First half, Dave, I'd give it a 7. It was quite entertaining, even though we were dreadful defending, Dave. We were dreadful for 90 minutes, let's be honest, defending. So a 7 for the first half. I can't give it anything for the second half, Dave. It was absolutely abysmal. I've not seen a defensive display at Molineux like that since Leicester pumped us 4-0 the day that Scott Sellers got handed out of our club. It was so bad. That cannot continue. Something has to change there with that defensive setup. We're going to be in big trouble come the end of October. Big trouble. So if we don't learn our lesson quick, we might as well pack in, I think. Larson, for me, Dave, never give up. Chuffed to bits he scored. He's a big lump, but you've got to feed him, Dave. And if you don't give him, he makes the runs. If you watch him, he makes the runs. And if you don't feed him in, he ain't going to score. But he took his goal well. And what else did you want? Positive thing from the day.
Highlight
of the day. Well, I got a good train back. I got a nice seat on the train back. Not too many people there. Lots of Chelsea supporters there who were chuffed on the way back to Birmingham New Street. Had a bit of banter with them, good banter. But I can't take any positives out of that game at all, Dave. It was dreadful.
Fair play, mate. I can understand that. George?
Mate, I'd say overall performance rating. I'm not going to be as kind as what I've heard on here so far. I'd split it into 2 halves. At the end of the day, it's a full game of football, isn't it? So I'm going to say we scored 2 goals. I'll give us a 2. Man of the match, I agree. It's got to be Larson. I think he made the runs, put himself about. He's a big lad, but he looks to have that little intricate pass in him as well. I think we've been crying out for a player like that, obviously since Raul's injury. And he looks a real focal point for us. And that is actually genuinely a real positive, I think, going forward. He does look the real deal. So I'll give Larson man of the match. And what was the other question? Something to cheer us up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To cheer us up, I would say we've got options. There's things we can do to tweak the team that I think will make us look a bit better. It's not like there's nowhere we can go from here. And plus, the window's still open for 5 days. And Gary, if anything, off the back of that performance today, because I think, like Sutty said, if we'd have had 2 decent results, it wouldn't have got anyone in. But now, Gary, who's been singing from the same hymn sheet as the board, I think, up until now, has come out today in the Express and Star, and he said, we need reinforcements. So if any good can come from that, conceding 6 at home for the first time in 17 years, it's if Gary can come out and start speaking some home truths and stop sort of biting his tongue, keeping everyone sweet, and say what he really means and say what he really needs. Because I think it's a really important week for us now. But we was told 2 weeks ago it's going to be a big week. We was told last week it's going to be a big week. If it ain't a big week this week, then we might struggle. But as it stands, we've got options. So it's early days. There's somewhere to go. That's my positive.
Fantastic. Well, great points well made. Ez?
Larson, again, I think he was really good. And Cunha always put the shift in, so I'm always a fan of Cunha, but Larson really impressed me today. Overall match rating, I'd have to give it maybe a 3.5-ish.
Yeah.
I was really impressed the first half, but the second half, they just let me down. But, you know, there's, like George says, you know, there's something to work with. At least Gary now knows our defence needs a lot of work and we need to get a centre-back in. Bonus, you know, hopefully we'll get the money for him. Highlight of the day was always seeing all you lot in the calf. Awesome. Although Sutty hasn't been yet, and I don't think Liam has either. So you need to get your bums down there. Curly Hair was there earlier, so that was nice.
Lovely
Sorry, George,
breakfast.
didn't know your name then. Do now. I'll remember it. And good. Glad you enjoyed it. And yeah, I just think you know, there's a lot to look forward to. And yeah, it's maybe I'm overly optimistic. Maybe I'm a bit of a nutter, which is fair enough. But they're my babbies, so you know, got to stick by them, anyway. Wolves,
Keep smiling. So yeah, I'm going to come back to you guys with you. Just looking ahead in a second to Burnley and Forest, but I have got a couple more international fan that have sent in. So here's their
Greece. So Wolves 2, Chelsea 6. I have to say, in the first half, I thought Wolves played very well. Going in half time, we'd hit the post, we'd put one in the back of the net that was declared offside, and we looked very much like we were in it. Home crowd behind us, thought we could go on and win it. Second half, absolutely shambles. Chelsea, obviously, very, very strong coming forward, and it really revealed the holes we've got in the defence. Doherty's not really, let's be honest, good enough at this stage in his career. Totti Gomez as well. Ait-Nouri, great going forward, but also a great defender, but he seemed to forget the fact that that's his first duty in that second half, and we paid a high price for it. Felt a bit sorry for the attacking players because we looked quite dangerous throughout the game, even in the second half. Lamina put in the back of the net, declared offside with probably the one chance we had. Lots to do in the transfer market to shore up that defence. Big questions around whether or not we can play with 4 at the back. Traditionally, we do a lot better with 5. Questions to be asked of the leadership at Wolves, and I'm sure Gary O'Neill's going to be keen to answer them as well. Difficult to judge. Arsenal, Chelsea, 2 of the strongest sides in the Premier League. I expect this year. The next game might be a bit different. So let's hope for better. Always Wolves.
That was horrible. That was humiliating. That was utterly shambolic, and just completely unacceptable. You know, plain and simple. I just don't know where to go from here. Obviously, Burnley midweek in the cup, but I do want to acknowledge the first half. Of course, should be doing better on that first goal. I think Doc is caught ball watching at the back post. Even if Cunha's flicked on header is just like, you know, I wouldn't say unlucky, but just sort of unfortunate that it doesn't get out the box, right? And then it was a great response from us. Great goal from Cunha. And then, I mean, what is Saw doing? I mean, transitionally wise as well, what are we doing defensively? Getting caught out on that second goal for Chelsea there. And again, Saw, I mean, I just don't get what he's doing. Where is he? And that was a really good goal from Larson. Great to see him get off the mark. Ball in from Aït-Nouri was incredible. Header back across from Tati. And then we just absolutely imploded in the second half. And I'm just going to say this right now. The fact Aït-Nouri wasn't subbed off when he was on a yellow is, I don't get it. Especially when we conceded, 4 minutes in. It's obvious he's having trouble defending Madueke, which I'm just going to touch on this for a second as well. Madueke making those comments and then us allowing him to score a hat trick. The fact he made those comments about the city of Wolverhampton and then he got the hat trick is just, honestly, it's kind of unbearable. So, if we don't go to a back 5/3 against Burnley midweek, I don't know. I don't know what Gary's seeing that I'm not seeing. I'll be completely honest. But, yeah, that being said, that second half was, in terms of performance, was zero. Straight up. It was horrible. Still, promise in the first half, and then just like, it's so disconcerting. And we have to beat Forest away. Because the run-in is so tough, right? And then if we get knocked out in the first round of the Cup too, boy, oh boy. Molineux will be a toxic place. So, anyways, try to enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys, and we'll be back midweek for the match against Burnley at Molineux. Take care, always Wolves.
Interesting, isn't it? That fans around the world watching it, we've talked about it tonight. Everyone kind of like is on the same page, really. They're seeing the same thing. That lad there is an American guy. He loves his Wolves. He even referenced the comments that the Chelsea player said about the city. The people say that international fans don't care about the city or whatever. They do. They stay up until all hours in the morning to watch. They support the club. They might not be physically in the stadium, but they've still got the passion. And you can see the frustration. And then you've got, obviously, from Greece there as well. So, look, we're all frustrated. We're all really, really frustrated. And I wouldn't go as far as to say angry. I don't think it's anger. I don't think it's bubbled over to anger yet. But if they don't sort it out these next 5 days, and I personally do think they've got to get the checkbook out. They've got to go and buy some, not ones for the future, not ones that might be good in a couple of years. They need to go and get what we need, oven-ready players to do what if they're going to stick to this back four, or obviously the option is to go to a back five. I'm not sure whether Gary will switch to a back five straight away. I still think he might persist with this for a couple more games and believe that, okay, we've played Chelsea, we've played Arsenal. They've got immense attacking players, lots of movement, top quality international players. Forest are definitely going to, got the tails up, but they're not on the same level really as Arsenal or a Chelsea. So I think he might still continue. And I think, we'll wait and see. But we've still got to go in the transfer window, and I think you need to show some ambition now. Matt Hobbs, I've given him lots of credit on this channel. Deservedly so for the job that Matt Hobbs has done since he's come in. What he did last year with how they raised the money, they believed in the squad then. And like what Sooty said, we were pushing Europe until we ran out of depth up front. Gary's got a lot of credit in the account. Jeff, bless his cotton socks, has spent a lot of that credit. Obviously, all the what the stuff with the season tickets and stuff like that. Yeah, they're paying and stuff and what have you, but he's lost a lot of faith from a lot of the fans, and now's the time to turn around and go, do you know what? Let's back this manager and spend what we want. I don't know how Chelsea are spending £500 million every year and getting away with it. I just don't understand how they're doing it, selling hotels to themselves and stuff like that. It's like, why does it seem to be one rule for the likes of Manchester City and, then the likes of, Forest and Everton and even Wolves are having to tread carefully. We have got to abide by the rules, but we have got money to spend and we have got some incredibly talented players. We've got brilliant players going forward. Sort the defence out one way or the other. Make a decision. Are we going to go to the 5? Or if you're going to stick with this 4, get the players in to play the system that you want to play. As Sooty says, we can switch to a back 5 like that. And it would be great to have a plan A and a plan B and a plan C that we can change these formations depending on what's happening. But we haven't got to get stuck into one way. We need to play to our strengths, to the teams that we're playing. And Gary's been really, really good with this. And I think Gary has come out last season and said he wants to play this way. And then he adjusts down to whoever we're playing. I think he started the season by going, we're going to play like that. And he's not adjusted down to who we're playing. He's sticking with this and going with that. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm not particularly saying that personally, we can all see a back 5 probably does suit us better. But I think Gary might look at it and still think, let's just hold my nerve a little bit longer, and let's see how we go against Forest and against these other couple of teams where we might have more success and be less on the back foot. Because let's face it, it was 15 minutes of chaos in the second half, but there was vulnerabilities there in the first half as well. And there was a lot of good stuff that came out of it in terms of the attacking play. Some of the interchange and the movement was absolutely brilliant. So let's just see what happens in the next 5 days. Sooty, you said like yourself, we'll judge this transfer window when it's shut, and then we'll take account. So they've got
Dave,
5 days.
Yeah, just on the transfer window shutting and judging it on there. I just want to end by quickly giving a last summary on things, to be honest, because at the end of the day, it was said earlier in the show, there'll be no Lopetegui to come in and save us this time. And that stuck with me. I don't know who said it, but it's true. And there'll be no World Cup. So there'll be no World Cup to break up the season. So the next 5 days, we've got to know how we're going to play, who we need, because we was very, very fortunate that season. And the longer we have this look of a club who's not willing to spend, and he's almost, I'm not going to say we are yet, but asset stripping, the less attractive we are for a super manager to come in. We was lucky, and I don't think we'd get that again, because I think top managers are probably cottoned on to what to expect. Now, I don't think O'Neill should go. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying if we don't get it right and things go sour and we find ourselves in that exact same spot because we haven't invested now, we're not going to have that same get out of jail card this time. So the next 5 days, they need to sit down with O'Neill and say, what do you need? And they need to go and get it, because we know how bad it can turn and how quickly, and we haven't got those same advantages anymore. We've played our card. So I just wanted to finish off with that, because it is vital. Next 5 days.
I think that's a really good point. And I'd like to give Matt Hobbs loads of credit for what he's done in the last thing, but now he's got to earn his money. He's got to, as a sporting director, he's got to know what Gary and the manager wants. He's got to make sure that the chairman and the board back him, and they've got to go and get the pieces that they need. This is the next 5 days. There is no coming back from this, because like you say, if we don't get it right in the next 5 days and the next little period they're coming, it'll be too late in December this time. It'll be too late. Now's the time to be ambitious, to be bold. We want our football team to be brave and play brave football. You need to be brave in the transfer market and get the players in that you need to do it. And if we have to pay a little bit more to get that, it's going to cost us a lot more if we end up going down and we'll be back to square one, and we can't afford to do that. So let's see what happens. Lewis, final thoughts from you on the transfer window on Burnley and Forest?
I like the optimism that you and George have, that we can go and do this business, but we need a right back that's strong defensively, and we're not going to get that now. They've already invested in a right back. Pedro Lima is an attacking right back. We need probably 2 centre halves if you're going to go to a back. Well, maybe a strong left back and 1 centre half. It's just too late, Dave, now. So I think if Gary is that set on playing 4 at the back, that he's going to be that stubborn, and he's going to say, no, I'm playing a back 4 until you sack me, he's going to get sacked, because the players are just not there. And I think the market now, it's too late. Like I said, the players we need to bring in to allow Gary to do that, they're not going to sell now. It's too late, and we will probably sign a couple of players, but they will not be the players that will allow Gary to play 4 at the back. So I think people holding out for that will be disappointed. We're not going to sign a world-class left back who is defensively good and good going forward. It's not going to happen now. And I think we have to just prepare ourselves for 5 at the back, which I'm not against. I don't
think any of us are. We've played 5 at the back. We've loved it.
But maybe Gary is.
That's
the point I'm a bit worried about. Maybe he's saying now, I want to play 4 at the back, and if you're not going to give it me, don't forget, Gary himself is a attractive manager for other clubs. They will look at him and say, well, we'll give you the money in January. We'll allow you to come and play 4 at the back. I think it could be a long season if that happens. But I think Gary is a lot smarter than he is stubborn. So I expect him to move to 5 at the back pretty soon. I think Burnley I'd like to win the Carabao Cup this season. I'd like to try and win it anyway. I think it's a great way into Europe, and you get it done early as well. So I'd like to go and beat Burnley, but I think Forest is going to be a very tough match, and I don't see us winning there.
So take.
Yeah, I don't see any players coming in, Dave. I certainly wouldn't be surprised at all.
You don't see any players at all coming in?
No.
Well, they're going to bring in that 18-year-old Nance defender, aren't they? I mean, you mean any oven-ready players?
Yeah, any oven-ready players, Dave. I still wouldn't be surprised to see an 8 Norrie go. Wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. The rumours will be leaked within the last 2 days of the blooming window, like they always are, and it'll turn the player's head, and they'll ask him if he wants to go, and if they offer us 40-odd million, we'll take it. And then there'll be no time to replace him either. I just don't see. We've got to go back to a back 5, Dave, whether people like it or not. Back 5 is not negative, Dave. The best season we had attacking wise for a long time, since Nuno anyway, was last season, until the wheels come off due to squad depth. Just repeating myself here. It's so simple. If Matt Hobbs and Jeff Shee are waiting to the last 5 days of a transfer window, Dave, to bring in players that can play in a back 4, then they're absolutely delusional, and it's a total lack of preparation yet again. What are they doing?
This is the point that Emma was making. It's like, with why wasn't it a priority earlier in the window? It's a fair comment. I do want to give Matt Hobbs a lot of credit, because I think he's earned it, but like, it is late now, and I just think, he's got most things right, but like, we're all looking at it right now, and we're stressing,
But don't forget as well,
But I
Dave,
think it's another good point that because George made earlier, because of how it was today, hopefully that'll sharpen hearts and minds.
but don't forget, Dave, as well. It's easy to criticise Matt Hobbs. He is given a budget, Dave.
Yeah.
The
Well,
man
no
who
one's
sets-
criticising him because he's done a good job, but he has
the
done a
man who
great job.
sets the budget, Dave, is Jeff Shee. And the man who tells Jeff Shee how much he's got to pay is the owner. Jeff Shee's a puppet for the big man in China. Never forget that. They work like that, Dave. They're in cahoots, right? Matt Hobbs will be given money to spend what he's given. We might have 94 million, but they might only say to him, "You've got 10, sunshine. Make it work." It ain't going to work, Dave.
Do you think we'll beat Forest next week?
No.
Okay, Ez.
Yeah,
You think we'll beat Forest next week?
2-1, I think. I think it'll be tight. Yeah.
But you think we'll beat?
I think it'll be tight, but I think we can do it.
Okay. George, final thoughts?
I think I'd be amazed if nobody comes in like Sutty said. And we'd be in serious trouble. Gary's openly said all season we need a Premier League oven-ready centre-back. If he doesn't get that, no matter how much he's tried to paint a rosy picture and look like him and the board are all on the same boat, that would just go against all of that. And we would know he's been sold short. And I think it would turn pretty toxic and pretty bad pretty quickly. So if we don't get a centre-back in, I think there's trouble. So I'd expect at least that, and I still think we could get Ramsdale on loan, because I just do not think that Sarri's the keeper that Gary O'Neill wants.
And you know what? On that note, we'll be sitting here this time next week after the Forest game, after the transfer window is shut. And I think next week's show is going to be incredibly interesting. We've got Burnley on Wednesday in the Cup. I think there are a fair few players that are going to get an opportunity to try and make a case for themselves in that team. I think it will be very interesting to see if he plays a back four against Burnley, which he probably will. And I think it'll be very interesting to see what the starting lineup is going to be at Forest. And I also think it's going to be very interesting on who's still here and who's come in. By the time we get a week, a week in football is a very, very, very long time. So it's a massive week. We've got 2 games. We've got 5 days. Who's going to be here? Who's going to have left? We will find out very, very soon. And next Sunday will be Judgment Day, because next Sunday we will be judging on what this transfer window is and where Wolves are coming into the international break. And don't forget, the international break will be of course, the probably entertaining football. It will be, of course, the Content Creators Cup at the Compton training ground. So you'll be able to watch that and enjoy that. You can still get tickets for this. There is limited tickets, but like if you see like here, hold on. Rich Robinson, 4 tickets, £5 a ticket. You'll get your name. Just put your name on there, what tickets you want with all the names. It'll be on this security. You'll be able to come and watch. It's going to be a great day. It's raising money for the Wolves Foundation, and you get able to see all your favourite creators play against each other, which should be quite interesting as well. Listen, guys, ever so much. Thank you ever so much for sticking with us. Sorry the stream broke early, but you got part 1 and part 2. It's been a very busy evening. It's going to be an incredibly interesting week. Keep the faith. Try not to get too down. It's 2 games in. The season's not over yet. The transfer window isn't shut yet. We're not relegated yet. But it ain't a great start, is it? It's really, really not. And like George said, 17 years since we conceded 6 at home. Not a good day. But from all of us anyway, to all of you, always Wolves.